Let me tell you something about the guy you paid the last time your kitchen sink backed up. The one who charged you a couple $100, ran a snake for 20 minutes, and left. His own kitchen drain at home has not clogged in years. Not because he is lucky. Not because he has some magic tool in the truck. He does one small thing about once a month that costs him around 40 cents. And he has zero reason to ever tell you about it, because there is no invoice at the end of it. I have been in this trade a long time, and I am going to give you the whole habit today. And stick with me to the end, because I am also going to tell you the real reason a working plumber's toilet almost never clogs, and it is free. This does not really start with your clogged sink. It starts with what grease actually is once it is inside your pipe. When you rinse a pan, that warm fat rides down easy, feels like it is gone. But your drain line is cooler than that pan. So the fat cools, and it stops being liquid, and it clings to the wall of the pipe. Then the next rinse adds a little more, and a little more. Think about plaque building up on the wall of an artery. Nobody has a heart attack from one bad meal. It is the slow layering month after month, until the opening that used to be the size of a quarter is down to the size of a pencil. That is not a clog you can plunge. That is a coating. And a snake just punches a hole through the middle of it and leaves the rest stuck to the wall, which is exactly why the same drain backs up again 8 weeks later. And I want you to know where it collects, because it tells you where the fix has to reach. The worst of it builds up in two places: the trap, which is that U-shaped bend of pipe under your sink that holds a little water to block sewer smell, and the horizontal run just past it, where the water slows down and the grease gets a chance to settle. Vertical pipe stays cleaner because gravity keeps things moving. It is the flat runs and the bends where the fat parks. That matters, because whatever you pour in has to actually sit in that trap and that flat run long enough to work, not just rush past it. And let me kill one myth right here, because it costs people a fortune. That garbage disposal under your sink does not protect your pipes from grease. It grinds up food, sure, but grease goes down the disposal side exactly the same as the other side, cools in the same trap, and coats the same pipe. People with a disposal think they can be careless, and they are usually the ones I am seeing twice a year. The disposal is not a grease pass. Treat that side of the sink with the same respect. So here is what the trade actually reaches for at home: washing soda. And I want to be precise, because this trips people up. Washing soda is not baking soda. Baking soda is the stuff you bake with, sodium bicarbonate, and it does almost nothing to a grease clog. Washing soda is sodium carbonate. Different powder, sitting right next to the laundry detergent at any grocery store, around $4 or $5 a box, and one box gives you roughly a dozen treatments. Here is why it works. Washing soda is a mild alkali. Alkali just means the opposite of an acid, a base, and a base does something almost magic to grease. It saponifies it. That is a real word from soap making, and it means the powder chemically turns the fat and the soap scum into actual soap. Soap dissolves in water, so the grease that was choking your pipe stops being a sticky solid and becomes something that rinses away like suds. You are not blasting the clog. You are converting it. Now, you might be thinking, that is just Drano then. It is not. And this is the part that matters for an old house. The stuff in the box cleaner is lye, sodium hydroxide. which is a far stronger version of the same idea. Lye saponifies grease too, but it does it violently, and it throws off a lot of heat doing it. I have seen lye cleaner get a trap hot enough that you could not hold the pipe. In an older home with thin plastic traps or soft old joints, that heat is the enemy. It can soften the plastic, warp the trap, and loosen the glued joints that keep water inside the pipe instead of inside your cabinet. And the acid-based cleaners are worse because they go after metal directly and pit out old chrome and galvanized. Washing soda is the gentle cousin. Same soap-making trick, but slow and cool. So it does the job without cooking your plumbing. And here is the detail everyone misses about those box cleaners. When they fail, and on a real grease coating they very often do, they do not disappear. You now have a jug of caustic chemical sitting in standing water in your sink. Sitting there, waiting. And the next move most people make is to grab a plunger, which sends that caustic soup splashing right back up at their own face and arms. Ask any plumber why some of them add a charge, or flat out refuse to touch a drain that already has cleaner poured in it. That is why. Nobody wants to eat a faceful of lye because you tried the jug first. Let me give you the numbers side by side because this is where it really lands. A treatment of washing soda runs you about 40 cents. A jug of the name brand gel is close to $20, and it might not even work on a hardened grease line. And a plumber out to clear a simple drain is going to run you somewhere between $150 and $300, and more if it turns into a bigger job. 40 cents? $20? Or a couple hundred? Same problem, 3 very different receipts. So here is the actual protocol. Write this down or just watch it twice. First, if there is standing water in the sink, bail it out. You want the powder reaching the grease, not diluting into a full basin. Second, pour 1 cup of washing soda straight down the drain. Third, follow it with 1 quart of the hottest water from your tap. And I mean tap water. Do not you dare pour rolling boil water from the kettle down there. I will come back to why in a second, because it is a mistake that costs people real money. Fourth, walk away and let it sit 30 to 60 minutes. This is a slow eater, not a bomb. Give it time to turn that grease into soap, then flush it through with more hot tap water. On a bad, stubborn grease plug, run it twice. That is the whole thing. Now, the boiling water. I told you I would come back. Here is the rule that saves your pipes. Hot tap water tops out around 140 degrees, and that is plenty hot to move softened grease, and it will not hurt a thing. Rolling boil water off the stove is over 200 degrees, and that heat is a wrecking ball for a drain. It softens and warps plastic pipe. It loosens the glued joints. And if any of it splashes a porcelain sink or a porcelain toilet, that sudden temperature jump can crack the porcelain outright. Hottest tap water? Yes. Boiling water off the stove? Never. That one swap protects the exact pipes you're trying to save money on. That is the core fix, start to finish. Before I get into the habits that make it stick, one thing. If this is already saving you a service call, you are going to want the rest of them. I put 100 of these old house fixes into a book called 100 Old House Fixes that save you thousands. It is built for exactly this, knowing when a cheap fix is the real fix and when you are about to overpay a pro for something you could have handled at the sink. The link is down in the description, and there's a code on your screen you can scan to get straight to it. All right, here is where this gets useful, because the fix is only half of it. The trade does not do this once when the sink is already slow. They do it on a schedule, about once a month, and the reason is the same reason a dentist wants to see you before the tooth hurts. Prevention is quiet and boring, and it works. Grease sets on the inside of your pipe like candle wax hardening on a holder. If you catch it while it is still a thin film, 1 cup of washing soda wipes it before it ever becomes a coating. If you wait until the sink is gurgling, you are now fighting a plug instead of a film. So put it on the calendar. First of the month, 1 cup, hot tap water, walk away. Under $1 a month to never meet a grease clog again. And back it up with 2 habits that cost nothing. Keep a little basket strainer in the drain so food scraps never go down in the first place. And this is the big one. Stop pouring grease down the sink. I do not care if you chase it with hot water and dish soap. That warm grease travels 10 feet down the line, hits cold pipe, and hardens right where you cannot reach it. Let it cool in the can it came in, or in an old jar, and throw it in the trash. That single habit prevents more kitchen backups than any product on the shelf. And pay attention to the calendar, because grease is seasonal, whether you notice it or not. The busiest week of my year has always been right after the holidays. Everybody is roasting, frying, pouring pan drippings, running the sink for 3 days straight with a house full of people. All that fat goes down warm and hardens over the next couple of weeks, and by the middle of January, the drain finally gives up. So if you cook heavy in the winter, or you just hosted a crowd, that is the month to run your washing soda without waiting for a warning sign. Get ahead of the season instead of paying a plumber to clean up after it. Now, before you go pouring washing soda into everything that drains slow, let me draw some hard lines, because a good tool used wrong becomes a bad day. First line, never combine washing soda with anything else. Not vinegar, which just cancels it out into fizzy nothing and wastes both. Not bleach. And absolutely never on top of a commercial drain cleaner that is already sitting in the pipe. You do not know what that reaction does, and you do not want to find out with your face over the drain. One thing at a time, always. Second line, keep it off aluminum. If you have got an old aluminum sink or fitting, washing soda can react with it and stain or corrode it, so it is drains and porcelain only. Third line, and this is about being honest with you. Washing soda destroys organic clogs. Grease, soap scum, food sludge, the slimy hair mats in a bathroom drain. That is its whole world. It will not dissolve a wad of wipes. It will not dissolve a kid's toy that went down the tub. It will not touch a bottle cap. If something solid went down there, no powder on earth is bringing it back. That is a snake job or a trap-off job, not a chemistry job. Which brings me to the troubleshooting. The part where people either save money or make it worse. You ran the washing soda twice, gave it the full hour each time, and the drain is still slow. Stop. Do not escalate to the caustic jug. Do not pour in something stronger and hotter and angrier. If washing soda and hot water did not move it, that tells you something useful. It is very likely not grease anymore. It is an object or a clog further down the line than a cup of powder can reach. And the honest answer there is a hand snake, or, if it is beyond the trap, a call. Knowing the difference between a grease film you can melt and an object you cannot is the whole game. That is the knowledge that keeps a couple $100s in your pocket. or spends it wisely when it actually needs spending. Let me give you 2 quick reads so you can tell what you are dealing with before you spend a dime. First read. If you have a double bowl kitchen sink and only one side is slow, your clog is local, probably right in that side's trap. And that is the easiest fix in this whole video. Look under the sink. That U-shaped trap usually comes apart by hand or with slip joint pliers. Put a bucket under it, unscrew the 2 big nuts, and pull the trap off. 9 times out of 10, the gunk is right there where you can see it, and wipe it out with a rag. 10 minutes, no chemicals, no call. Second read. If both bowls are slow at the same time, or a sink and a nearby tub back up together, your clog is further down the shared line, past where any trap-off is going to help. That is your sign to run the washing soda, and if it does not clear, that is a legitimate reason to bring someone in, because now you are past what a homeowner can reach. And here is the one that saves people from panic. If water is backing up into a different fixture when you run one, say you flush the toilet and the tub gurgles, or you run the sink and the floor drain burps, that is not a little grease film. That is a mainline issue, and that is genuinely a call, not a project. I always want you saving money where you can save it, but I am never going to tell you to go digging into a main line back up yourself. Know the line between the fix and the phone. And look, I am not going to sit here and pretend the trade is hiding this in a vault. It is simpler and more boring than that. There's just no money in prevention. Nobody is sending out a truck and a technician to sell you a 40-cent box of powder. So the thing that quietly keeps a plumber's own house running never makes it onto a service menu because it cannot be billed. That is not a conspiracy. That is just plain economics. The habit is free to you and worth nothing to them. So it stays a habit and never becomes a product. So now, let me pay off what I promised at the top. Why does a plumber's own toilet almost never clog? Because a toilet is a completely different animal from a sink drain, and washing soda has nothing to do with it. A sink clears slow, by dissolving. A toilet clears in one shot, by dumping a big load of water fast enough to create a siphon that yanks everything through the trap. So a toilet does not clog from grease films. It clogs for 2 reasons, and both are things you control. Reason 1 is what goes in it. Only 2 things belong down a toilet: human waste and toilet paper. That is the entire list, not the wipes that say flushable on the package, because they do not break down, and they catch in the trap. Not paper towels, not hygiene products, not the extra half roll of paper the kids use. A plumber knows the trap is where it all snags, so nothing goes in that is not on the short list. Reason 2 is flush strength, and this is the 5-minute habit almost nobody does. A toilet only clears if it dumps enough water fast enough to build that siphon. Lift the lid off your tank and look. If the flush feels weak, usually the flapper, that rubber seal at the bottom of the tank, is closing too early and not letting the full tank empty. Or the water level in the tank is set too low, so there is not enough volume to make a strong flush. Or in a hard water house, mineral scale has clogged up the little rim holes under the bowl edge, so the water dribbles instead of driving. Every one of those is a cheap 5-minute fix, and together they are the difference between a toilet that clears in one confident flush and one that needs a plunger every week. Check it once a month while you are already down there doing the sink. That is the whole secret. It is not a chemical. It is a short list and a strong flush. None of this was ever really hidden from you. There's just no service call in a box of powder and a working flapper, so the trade quietly does it at home and never writes it on a bill. Now you have got the same habit they do. About 40 cents a month at the sink, 5 minutes a month at the tank, and the boxed cleaner stays on the shelf where it belongs. If today saved you one service call, the book will save you a stack of them. 100 old house fixes that save you. Thousands is the whole playbook. The small leaks to catch before they rot a floor or ceiling, and the month-by-month maintenance calendar so nothing ever sneaks up on you. The link is in the description, and the code on screen takes you right to it. And if you want more of these, the ones that keep your money in your pocket instead of a plumber's, subscribe to Roger the Pipe Guy. That is what this whole channel is for.